Manager, Councilmember James Arnold, Councilmember Ryan Woods, Councilmember Casey R. Ambrose, Councilmember Rush Shinzing, Councilmember Tamara Locke, Councilmember Dennis O'Rourke, Mayor Pro Tem, and Mayor Gunther, City Manager Witt, City Attorney Venerian. I will turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, welcome everybody. We'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So for tonight's invocation, let us pause for a moment of reflection. As we begin this meeting, grant us wisdom in our decisions, respect in our discussions, and a shared commitment to serving the good of our community. May our work tonight be both thoughtful and fair. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, roll call.
Ambrose,
Here.
Arnold,
Here.
Gunther,
Here.
Locke,
Here.
O'Rourke,
Here.
Shinzing,
Here.
Woods.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Any requests for agenda changes? No? Okay. Presentation, I think we have Mary from Oakland County Water Resources. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. Nice to see everyone. If you're okay with it, I'm good with not being behind a podium because I'm a little short, and I think my voice will carry well enough in this room.
Sure.
So
Yep.
I
For the people online though, Mary, I think you even just turn the mic.
Of course, not a
mic.
problem.
There you go, that's perfect.
Appreciate you.
For anybody online? No.
If there is. Of course, completely fine. Gary Nigro is with me this evening. He is the manager at Oakland County for all of our operational departments within the WRC. And as we're pulling up the presentation, I am Mary Coker. I am the chief engineer over the Oakland County owned wastewater treatment plants. So it's a pleasure to be here with you all this evening and just kind of go over the major capital improvements that address some of our aging infrastructure around the facility. I know it has been expressed that a site walk would be beneficial for the council. So if anyone is interested in attending something like that, please let me know. I know a few of you already have. All right, so to start, the Walled Lake Arm and Walled Lake Novi wastewater treatment plant owned by Oakland County, named after the communities they serve, was originally and temporarily constructed in 1966. However, it was not temporary for long, and it realized a lot of upgrades over the course of its total lifespan up till this point. However, as these upgrades were added, primarily due to Eagle having more stringent requirements over time, these additions did not really address any of the aging infrastructure that occurred since 1970. So just for a little more background on the facility, since we know that primarily it serves Walled Lake and Novi, Walled Lake is only about a third of this amount, where Novi is about 2/3 of the flow. It has a designed capacity of 3.5 million gallons a day in which it treats from your communities. And all of this is done with just 8 employees that work 7 days a week. So this is just an overarching view of the major capital projects that have happened over the course of these years. Again, originally it was constructed 1966 as part of the Walled Lake Arm. In 1970, you can see you have the raw sewage pump station. This was part of that temporary construction, but over time, we were able to go ahead and add the tertiary filters as part of the 1980s. And then in the 1990s, we have the construction of the admin building, as well as our 4th clarifier. 2000s, we have our biosolid storage tanks. In the past, those used to be drying beds. And then in 2003, we had our new UV disinfection system. And then our latest addition is was from 2014, and it is the retention basin, which assists with any extreme wet weather events that we may have. So when you compile all these projects together, if you look at them, none of them address the previous. So even though we have our Walled Lake Arm, our raw sewage pumping station, and all of its innards, that was not addressed as these projects continued on at the plant and these upgrades were made. So looking at this with our asset management team, noticing that there are emerging sustainability issues, we went ahead and did a site walk with our own supervisory staff and operators, with our asset management team, in order to combine the idea of what is absolutely necessary to make sure that this plant is sustainable in the long term. So at this point, now that we've compiled the absolute necessary improvements that need to be made to the plant, as the asset owner, we're coming to our stakeholders and saying, we would like your engagement because you are the communities that we serve. Sorry, if you could return back. You're good. By doing this, one of the ways that we think would be mutually beneficial would be, especially on the city side for Novi and Walled Lake, would be the creation of a Chapter 20 drain. This would make the asset belonging to the drain itself and no longer just to Oakland County. It would consist of monthly meetings, which you would have direct access to in order to review proposals and invoices. And there would be an elected member of 3 that's already part of the drainage board that would go ahead and approve these, and your voice would be heard by them, versus Oakland County saying that they're going to perform projects as part of your rates. So this allows you to have that voice moving forward. In this way, I wanted to bring this to the table so that we can unite on this collaboratively. So these are some of the projects that have been identified as a need for the sustainability long-term of the plant. I'll start first with the biosolid storage tanks. These are concrete tanks, again, originally constructed in the 1990s. They have experienced spalling where the coating is virtually non-existent at this point. You'll see some photos on these projects later on, and existing assets. So the goal of this one is to repair it so that you don't have an emergency project later on with a replacement of the tank versus just repairing the small portions of concrete that need to be repaired. Next is the biosolids dewatering equipment. We have equipment on site that takes your sludge that is taken out of your water, and then it go ahead and dewaters it so that it is ready to go ahead and be applied to farm fields. It is not a fertilizer, but it acts as a soil amendment. Farmers love this. However, we only have one piece of equipment on site that is able to do this. And in wastewater, it's imperative that we have redundancy. If that equipment were to go down, that could be a potential violation in the future, and we don't want that. So it would make the most sense with not only this aging dewatering equipment to have redundancy, but also just to have redundancy in general regarding this. Next is the process blowers. We have blowers that go ahead and supply oxygen to our clarifiers. This assists in biological nutrient removal as part of your treatment process, which is required from your permit. These were installed in the 1990s. We've been rebuilding them and repairing them as often as we can. However, eventually everything has an end of useful life. And it's about time, 35 years later, that these do. Next is the Walled Lake Arm. The Walled Lake Arm is a piping collection system that goes around your walled lake. It is about 17,000 linear feet and comprises of 70 manholes. They are ranging from 36-inch pipe to 18-inch pipe. This, again, was installed in 1966. It has received some CCTV work over the years. The most recent one was one that our team conducted internally, saving approximately $250,000 by doing it internally. And we determined that it does indeed need repair. There are quite a bit of leakage points coming from the joints, and I have some photos of that later on so that you can see what I'm talking about. All right, next is the effluent structure. This is the structure that all of your clean water, at least permit required clean water, comes out of. This means this is the point where when the water reaches the river, you're able to swim in it, you're able to go ahead and go fishing in it. It's great for the wildlife at this point. However, again, another structure installed in 1970 that has not been addressed. So upgrades need to be made to this structure so that debris of concrete and anything else that could be at that point doesn't make it out into our rivers. And then lastly, our 3 items here, our administration building is actually also known as our laboratory. So our laboratory is in need of HVAC improvements. Our lab does some temperature and humidity sensitive testing for our permit, so it is imperative that we have accurate results. And within our RSPS building that I mentioned earlier, the raw sewage pumping station, original 1970, we have a motor control center that is original to that installation that has some rusting on it. I have some photos. As you may or may not be aware, this can cause some arc flash issues. It can cause some equipment shortages over time in regard to that. So it's in need of replacement at this point. Same with our man lift. Now, all of this sounds great, right? We want to make sure our plant is safe, sustainable in the long term, and we've gotten this far by doing what we've been doing now. In order to complete all of these projects, an estimated amount would be $6 million. However, that is only for the entire project. Walled Lake would be approximately a third of this. I broke it down to what that could be annually, and it would be about $400,000. All right, if you could, yeah, thank you. All right, so these are some of the pictures of what you may or may not have seen on your site tour, or what you may be seeing. This is the inside of 2 of our sludge storage tanks. You can see that there is some spalling that occurred on this column in the larger picture. And also you can see more cracks, spalling, effervescence from leaking coming in that second upper picture. Also, you can see where the joint is coming apart at the top in the lower picture. And just to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like from the inside, you can actually see a pinhole on the last picture there. Next is the Walled Lake arm. This is actual CCTV photos that came from that. As you can see, you are looking at gushing leakage coming in. And although the piping is in decent enough shape where we will be able to repair these, it's still difficult to get inside the pipe and perform those repairs. So it becomes a costly factor. And it's very difficult to see in the lower left-hand photo, but we do have some leaking in that manhole. We have some spalling, some cracks, and so it was recommended that the 70 manholes be lined. And this is our, what we call our rotager, aka our dewatering or thickener system. This allows our waste-activated sludge to turn into Class B biosolids so that it can be applied to landfill, applied to farm fields. However, as you can see, it's very dated. It's original to the building's construction. And if you can see right next to it on the left, it actually was supposed to have 2. They have a bunch of piping put in where they were supposed to have 2 of these systems in case one went down. However, that never happened. So while that is the case, I think it makes sense for flexibility to be a wastewater treatment plant's greatest strength. So this machine is still functioning right now. I think that we should go ahead and keep this as a thickener for liquid storage, but Class B biosolids isn't always going to be in priority demand. It will turn into Class A, and I'm willing to explain that in further detail outside of this meeting. So with that, we only have so much room in our sludge storage tanks. We have almost experienced an overflow once before, and this has also happened in the past. So I think instead of putting a secondary dewatering system next to it that's a thickener, we should go ahead and explore the possibility of something that turns it into a cake. Cake is like a soil-like material. It's a lot easier to store. So if we were about to run out of room with our liquid storage, we would be able to have a cake also. And that could be utilized in farm fields or hauled off to landfill in worst case scenario. And the next two slides are the electrical system, the MCC, our motor control center, and our man lift. The RSPS building, or raw sewage pumping station, is approximately 60 feet tall, and this man lift go ahead and allows access to every level. Since this, it was imperative to go ahead and tell you that the wastewater treatment plant was originally temporary because this building makes it so you can only actually access the bottom level by this man lift. There is no other means, and that's because when this building was constructed, it wasn't supposed to last. So this man lift is in good condition now that we've had some repairs done to it. However, the frequency of repairs is continuing to increase. And it is long, long past its useful life. Same thing with the motor control center. And you can see the avid rusting that's coming off the side there. It's too close by building standards to the next motor control center that you can kind of see on the left-hand side. And also when you replace anything in a motor control center, anything, you also have to consider ventilation because then it becomes building code. And so as you can see there, once you decide to replace one item, there's a lot of scope creep that can happen with that. And that's just a closer image of the man lift so you can see the full descent that these operators have to make. So as you can tell, these projects aren't innovative. These projects aren't something the plant doesn't need. These are projects that actually allow the plant to make it into the future. It's made it so far because all of the equipment that was installed originally have been tanks. They have long exceeded their useful life, and it's come time for us to replace them with things that are going to do the same. All right, that's all. If you would like my contact information, that's my QR code. I don't have any business cards on me, but if you have any questions, please let me know.
Like a couple simple ones.
Yep, we got
Do you want to go?
Sure. So can we go back to, I think it's slide number 2 that shows the pie chart with the separation between Novi and Walled Lake and who's covering that?
Right there.
So on this slide here, now does Novi also have a separate treatment plant, or is all of Novi serviced by this? Because it just seems like a little bit of an imbalance that Novi would have 2/3 of the coverage and we'd have 1/3. It seems like it'd be more like 70-30 or something along those lines.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, primarily Novi is served by this wastewater treatment plant. This wastewater treatment is a Walled Lake Novi wastewater treatment plant. So from my understanding, from its construction, Walled Lake was a larger community at the time, being the first name in the naming. However, there is a difference in flow now. So we try to accumulate the average in those flows every 3 years. So this is the average percentage of influent flow coming into the wastewater treatment plant for treatment since 2024. We'll have 2025 numbers fairly soon.
Okay, and that's covering 100% of the boundaries of the city of Novi then?
I would
all the
have.
way out to 8 Mile.
Oh, I guess Gary's over all of
thanks.
operations, so he may know better.
Thank you. Hello.
No, there is a portion of Novi to the south and east that flows down into through Wayne County and ultimately to Great Lakes Water Authority's wastewater plant down there.
Okay, so that makes
there's-
the balance seem a little bit more in line then, because just knowing the difference of our cities, the commercial properties in Novi versus here, it just didn't seem like that was didn't look like the split that I would have expected. I would have even gone 80-20 Novi.
Yeah.
Okay, so a portion that does
Yeah,
go-
or is there, have you looked at the numbers, is there something, maybe we're putting too much water in the system for the number of citizens and buildings and commercial? That's just an interesting question, right? Is there something we have unique compared to what they've got? Because again, even if you got 2 other treatment facilities that are taking care of Novi, just Seems like we're a lot, way too much, right? Just a question, I don't know the math and the stuff behind it.
I don't know the exact percentages of how much of Novi is served by Great Lakes Water Authority system. There's the Huron Rouge sanitary drain serves, I know, a good portion of the south and the east. There was a project just done recently that Novi was, I think, almost 100% on. It's a linear storage tank for a sanitary system down by 9 Mile. So I know that Novi picked up, I think 100% of the cost of that. So they definitely have are served by other areas. So
Yeah, I'm just thinking if there's if you did it on a percentage basis of per citizen, per business, you should expect to have X number of gallons, million gallons per day. Are we in line, or is there something else we've got going on? Just a question.
I think we'd have to circle back then and on that and.
Okay, it's just an interesting
And a
question.
boundary, do you have a boundary map you could show us too?
I think Ryan sent that.
We definitely have.
Boundary map, did you send that, Ryan?
No, I did send on the information. They shared metering data, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's the meters that are hooked up for the Wild Lake side and Novi side, and you guys can jump in if you like. But that's to see what the real usage is. So that was done quite a few years back, right?
Yeah.
As we started to build up and understand where our problems are, what the data is. So that data was shared, and I believe Van had shared that with everybody, so you guys get a chance to look at it.
Okay, but those are different years than what we're looking at right here from the 2022 to 24, right? They're further behind, further back.
Yeah, but it goes for the full year usage, right? Everybody's fiscal year is a little bit different.
Right.
Right, so those things kind of go along with that, so that's where the data came from.
I would just think there's an equation, right? Per business, per average number, per citizen, per business. And then you look at it and you decide whether you're in line.
That data is interesting to show, though, during.
Yeah, I saw
events, right? Of how it creeps up and flow. So in terms of sealing the sewers off, which we've been working in the past to try to
Right.
come up with a plan and dig deep and save money for, right? But on top of sewer work, we also have to take care of, the water flow coming in, right? So for Walled Lake, we've got everything on the plate.
Yep. Okay.
And addressing infiltration is one of the projects as well, as you saw.
Right.
The other question I had was just in regards to I think it was called a Chapter 20 Drain Commission, is that what it was?
Article.
District, okay. So there's elected members of 3. Would that just be on a ballot? Like, are these elected members of 3 people? Is that just on a ballot that they're elected, or how are those members nominated? How many come from Walled Lake? How many come from Novi? Just those type of questions.
Sort of on a ballot. So the chairman of the drainage districts, of each drainage district board is the drain commissioner, water resource commissioner. So currently Jim Nash, so he's an elected official, right? And then the other 2 members of the drain board are the chairman of the board of commissioners, so of the county, so currently Dave Woodward, and also the chairman of the finance committee for the county, so in this case Gwen Markham. So those are the 3 drain board members. So that's why I say yes, they're all electeds. Yes.
Perfect, thanks.
So no longer, under Chapter 20, there would no longer be any of the city council for either city being on that board?
You would be correct. That would be pulled out of our decision-making, and that would go into the county's hands.
Okay.
I would like to just add a little bit on that. If a drainage district, particularly Chapter 20, was added to this, you would have more transparency than you do now. As of right now, we come in, we provide you with our service rates. We say, okay, these are the projects that we're gonna do. And that's basically how it goes, because this is an Oakland County asset. And it's a service that we provide in order to provide treatment to you. However, with a drainage district, that's not necessarily the case. When you sign the petition in order to have a drainage district, in order to involve these projects, if another project comes up, let's say, I was mentioning the difference between Class A and Class B. That's a huge topic right now in wastewater. If a new engineer that's not me, not Gary, comes in and says, I want to do this really big innovative project for Class A biosolids, they can do that. But with a Chapter 20 drainage district, you have the ability to have that go on a petition as a major capital improvement project, and no one at the county can pursue that project without you signing that petition first, once the drain board is created.
And how's that worked out?
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does.
Sort of, but currently?
Currently, it's like Mary described, you know, this wastewater plant and that 17,000 foot arm, that main interceptor, is a county asset, which in this case Jim Nash is the acting person responsible to the county, to the board, right? So, but none of these things actually truly have to go before the Board of Commissioners. So Jim Nash can just make those decisions without even having board meetings. Whereas a Chapter 20 drain, once it's established, you know, it needs to be petitioned by the communities who it would be serving. Once that happens, the drain, the assets become the property of the drainage district. So it'd be the, you know, whatever the name would be, the Walled Lake Novi sanitary drain or something like that. You know. In that case, once a drain is established and the initial investment is made, after that, the drain office is allowed to maintain those assets by assigning rates and such. But if we wanted to make a big capital improvement of some sort, we would have to ask the communities to repetition us. So that's kind of what Mary was describing with saying that, like, really the communities have kind of more say in what happens after it becomes a Chapter 20 drain.
Historic.
Go ahead.
Historically, what have the WRC done in the past to do improvements, changes, or anything that was needed in terms of additional spending?
For this
Well,
system in particular?
any of the other projects when it was not under Chapter 20, how did that work?
Yeah.
So be underneath the current rate process that you're under right now.
Right.
I have a question. Is Novi waiting for us? Are we waiting for Novi? How does this work?
Novi has already signed the petition,
So they're waiting for us.
in a sense.
How does that, what do you mean in a sense?
So the Chapter 20 cannot start its process until both parties, meaning you and Novi, sign your petitions.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're not necessarily waiting. I mean, they are, but they're not, because a Chapter 20 cannot exist without you.
Okay,
I
good.
see what you're saying. They would want one though, so they've already signed the petition that they want one. They're waiting, but they would need us to also sign the petition.
Yes.
Thank you.
I got a couple, and then, I mean, we go on all night. I could have fun with this because I'm an engineer by nature, and I get interested in silly stuff. How many wastewater treatment plants that WRC is responsible for are Chapter 20 versus Article 240, so whatever the number is?
342.
342. How many are there? So they were all one way for a while until Article 20 came out, or Chapter 20. Then some of them changed over time. Do we know what that number is? Are there communities that are still like us? And if you don't have to answer it if you don't know. Could you guys get that for when I come out on the 10th?
Oh, no, there's only two. There's two wastewater plants that the county owns. This Walled Lake Novi is one of them.
Okay.
And the other one used to be the Pontiac wastewater treatment plant. And then about 8 years ago, maybe, I think, when we took that plant over from Pontiac, we actually, we had the communities petitioned us to turn that into a Chapter 20 drain. So now it is the Clinton River Water Resource Recovery Facility Drainage District. It is a Chapter 20 drain.
Okay, so they went, and so we're the last one?
The last one.
Okay.
There's only two though, so.
Okay. Okay. Again, I don't know, whoever wants to go, I'm gonna try and get there on the 10th. You guys, you gotta let me know if that's okay.
Yes.
And we'll decide from there what, if we need to go back. But Part of that is gonna just be me being an engineer, and I've never seen inside of a water treatment facility, so that's a little bit interesting. And, but so this is an internal assessment you guys have done as the Oakland County WRC?
Yes, this is an
So-
internal.
So we haven't had a third party, some engineering firm come out and do that yet?
It's a mix. So,
Okay.
like, for instance, the concrete tanks have had third-party, inspections, and
Okay.
we have reports documenting that.
Structural engineers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Structural engineers. Basically, we already have skilled staff, skilled talent.
Right.
In order to perform this work. If we do not have that in-house, then we go ahead and we contract that out.
Right. But I'm just wondering, if we didn't have like a single firm do the engineering assessment and say, here's the refurbishment that needs to be done, right? So,
No.
okay. So I'm going to send you a couple more things that I want to see if we can touch on when we get out there, but I don't have that with me tonight, but very interesting. Okay. Anybody?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one last comment. I did get a chance to get out and visit. I think Councilman Ambrose did have a chance to get out and visit. We did early November. I'm glad other people are going because it's good to go see what it looks like. Worried about the cost, right, as we pass this on, or, we talk about what the options are. Cost isn't easy. I see that there's a need. I do have some concerns about the ownership question. In the future, right after your visit, it's important, right, that we get staff's input, what the preference is, either from a legal standpoint and from a structural and, engineering side. So that's important, right, so that we get that in front of us, so we can get kind of a collective set of information in
Agreed.
front of us.
Hey, one more. Have we had DTE come in and do an energy assessment? Because they'll certainly abate the kilowatt per hour numbers. If you do VFD drives, you take out all your old drives, put in VFDs, they'll come in, they'll actually do the assessment for you, tell how much you're going to save over time. And then typically they'll give you like 50% of the price of those drives, whatever the price for the equipment and install is. I don't know if you've had them come out.
No, we have not had them come out. We do
They-
have VFDs on site. However, that is definitely not part of this overall project work.
Right.
We tried to limit it to the absolute pieces of equipment that needed to be replaced. And even if
Right.
DT provides some kind of reimbursement in order to assist with that effort, it's still a cost that's going to be coming out of the service.
I understand, but if you're doing blower motors and drives, I understand are we getting any type of traction with DTE? And if you haven't done it, can you guys engage them?
I can look into that.
Okay.
We actually have a representative that, this Oakland County, the Water Resource Commissioner has a rep through DTE that we can call and ask those type of questions to. So kind of have our own personal person. So, but
Because if you do upgrade something that's old and you get an energy efficiency, you get a rebate from them. I mean, it could be up to 9 cents per kilowatt hour that you're saving, right?
yeah, we've done
Over 10 years, it's huge savings. Pays back in 2. I've done it with a bunch of factories, so I'm familiar with the process.
Yeah, we're usually pretty aggressive about things like that, going after grants and all sorts of things. There's also, I don't know how much they're still doing it, but there was these separate energy companies like Direct Energy and First Energy and things like that you could enter these contracts to the power still being transmitted to you through DTE, save like a split bill, but then the power generation comes from one of these alternate entities, and I think it's just kind of a shell game. But yes, we enter into contracts everywhere we can to save money. I mean, that's ultimately, one of our biggest goals is to provide a reliable service to all of the communities that we serve, and try to keep the cost as low as possible, right? So, we try not to get too fancy if we don't have to. Keeping things as simple as possible a lot of times is the most efficient way to do things. So.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Really
great
good.
presentation. Appreciate
Do we have that one? Because I don't think I had the pictures of this scalding and,
Yeah,
That's in
you
the
should have
packet.
a copy.
okay. All right, I thought I printed it, but I must not have looked at it.
Give you the paper copy of it.
Okay, thanks. Yep.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, nice
Thanks,
job,
Mary, good job.
Team.
Appreciate it.
It's a, I almost want to say it's a shitty job, sorry.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. That's a problem everywhere, right? The infrastructure's just dying. Okay, next, approval of minutes.
O'Rourke will make a motion to approve the minutes from November 18th, 2025.
Ambrose was,
Go ahead.
ladies first, go for it.
Michael, second.
Okay. We need a roll call? No?
Yep.
Arnold,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Shinzing,
Yes.
Woods,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any audience participation?
Mr. Mayor, we have staff in the audience, and there are no members online.
Cool. Okay. Mayor's report. So we've got a number of board seats that are open now, right? We've got, I think, with the council members that got elected and myself, we've wiped out the zoning board of appeals. So I think we're down to just Jay Easter. So we've got to fill that. We've got a number of other ones we need to fill. So let's start getting the people together and get some applications in. Just they apply, then I nominate, or we nominate, and then we'll vote on if we want them in. But we need to do that because we can't have these things sitting open for too long, right? So really important thing. Dennis, I wanted to say, Whit, good job recovering with our injured Santa yesterday. It was excellent.
I did, your mayor pro tem did the deed, you know, he
Pushed him?
He,
Like Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's
no, see, sees how things don't always come out the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
He did a great job. He was a deer in the headlights when the ladies dragged him into the back room and put the Santa suit on him.
We were quick,
But
you were quick, fellas.
he took it in and surprised that he was Santa. I don't think you even anticipated it. Did you even know when they were dragging you over here that you were going to be Santa?
We had a quick meeting, right, at the podium, and it was like, let's go.
I will say, Mr. O'Rourke, you walked right past me. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No
Our
idea.
backup was-
I go, here's Santa.
Our backup was the suit. We did have a backup. Thanks for Ms. Gross. That was the backup. The update on him is the latest I've got, unless the chief's got something more. Santa originally that was coming, he does have a fractured skull and a brain bleed, and so he's pretty damaged. I think his wife followed him over there, and you know, we were all concerned about that. Everybody was.
He's doing much better. I know. I'm a friend of his
you know?
daughter. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
doing much
do we
better.
know, you got an update on him? We're all kind of worried about it.
No, he's doing much better. He woke up this morning in
Okay,
good
great,
spirits and
great.
Is he going to
physical
make it
therapy.
on the 25th? That's the question.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, it was an accident. It was terrible to what happened, but for our side of it, your Mayor Pro Tem stepped up and did the thing. I mean, and
See, I thought it was you, Dennis, and I was thinking, how could you have been Santa? I thought you'd be the Grinch.
I knew you were going to say that.
I've been saving it since yesterday. That's great. You notice we have a, you want to?
Quick,
Touch on
go
it
back
again?
to commissions real quick.
Yeah, go.
Okay, so can you walk us through the application process? I know I've reviewed the application. I know there's some, it's relatively comprehensive. It's great. But then there's an interview process as well. Is that correct?
For boards and commission?
For any of the commissions? Because I thought the previous mayor usually interviewed candidates who were going to be on the commission.
No, normally we just stamp it in and we send the applications out to the mayor for review.
Okay, and then do you interview or is it, yeah, okay. Can you walk us through that a little bit?
It's up to his discretion
Okay.
what he chooses to do, and then he would come back before you for nomination.
We vote.
Do we have any people that have applied for other board seats or commissions lately?
We have a few that are coming in.
The one that you were going to talk about at the November meeting.
Yeah,
One that I'm aware of.
okay. And then we know we have a couple
Mayor,
coming.
let me suggest that if you can't find people right away, you call upon sitting members of other boards to switch out, to go to the ones that are the most important. Even if it's on a temporary basis, you can switch them back
Yeah.
or whatever. We got good people. It just takes a lot of time and effort to serve on too many boards, and there
Yeah.
may be inconsistencies, but some of those board members may switch. You got the ZBA, which is pretty important. So maybe some of the board members on zoning or something like that, but
Okay.
it's just
Yeah,
a
we'll take a look at
possibility.
that.
We will advertise, and to answer the question, to improve on that, the mayor has the discretion, the mayor's required as a matter of charter, and in the DDA's case, as a matter of law, to make the appointment. The DDA law says it's an appointment, but it has to be approved by the majority of council. And the charter says it's nomination, but it has to be appointed. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So you are a member, of course, you know that, a member of, by virtue of your election, you're a member of the DDA, and you have at least one opening now. You should be receiving and filing that tonight, perhaps under correspondence or even now, and you can fill that as soon as you want. But you have a discretion of interviewing and doing what you want. You do want to make sure you pick people that
Yeah.
other people can work with.
Yeah, and, you know, like, I know it may say I'm the one that appoints it, but guys, we're all on the same team. It doesn't matter to me, right? If we got a good person, you think they're good, we'll go with it. Now, we don't have to waste time, right, formally doing it.
And then total list of the vacancies in the open boards then?
Yeah, I
they're all
thought
right.
Jen put it in the package for us.
I will forward on to everybody.
think
It's provided
yeah.
to you.
Okay, I thought I had like 5 copies.
And then is there supposed to be a sitting city council member on each commission? Is that,
That's not mandatory, but in some of the commissions, they relaxed the incompatibility law in Michigan. Even since I came aboard, there was a time when it was confusing and stuff. So I think you can sit on it at least one can sit on every board unless the attorney says otherwise. They have a statute called the incompatibility statute, but they relaxed it a few times. Van, how many times they relaxed? A couple of years, it's like, okay, you can do this now,
Yes, it's been watered down quite a bit over the years.
Yeah.
It used to be pretty strict, but for smaller communities like Wild Lake, the applicability of those provisions are pretty limited. It's much more restrictive with larger communities than it is of smaller communities.
okay.
And
There's
under
still,
charter,
there's still the incompatibility thing, right? You can't be on the planning commission and the zoning board of appeals, right? It just wouldn't make sense.
correct. There are liaisons. We have liaisons so that there's communication between the two, and you know,
Right.
so
But non-voting.
correct. And under charter, you can have one elected official serve on the ZBA, the Planning Commission, and Parks and Rec. So that's what the charter allows.
Okay, that's me. I'm on all 3.
And there are limitations regarding elected officials serving as chairman. So if you're an elected official serving on the ZBA, you can't, although you can serve on the ZBA, you can't be the chairman of the ZBA.
Okay.
Okay, and in your experience, Dennis, is it wise to have a sitting member of city council on each of these commissions? Do you-
Yes.
That is a good idea.
15 years of experience, yes.
Okay, that's
The
what I'm
city
asking.
council, you guys don't always agree, and my guess is you won't this time for my next 15 years. But it's a good thing to have that discussion, so council members have always served well. I've never served with a bad council member, or even, I go to a lot of the meetings, you know that, where we work
Oh, yeah,
together.
absolutely.
And they always add to it. They don't hurt. So gives the
that's-
board members input directly to the council, so it's a good idea.
Okay, so that's a suggestion that we should all take a look if there's a commission you want to be on. Final one I have for you, is that okay? Can I do one more?
Sure.
So the Traffic Safety Board, that's been a very hot topic out in the community, is
Yes.
bringing that back. And getting a Traffic Safety Board back, and then also having a sitting member on the Downtown Development Authority. So is that, just for historical perspective, was the Traffic Safety Board, was that something that was intentionally removed, or is it just something that over time
It was,
people quit?
the evolution of that was lack of interest.
Okay.
Okay.
The how much input they had before. The experience there is a lot of times they want to change things or make recommendations, and they're inconsistent with the law or the police and all that. You can try the board again if you get people to serve, but my experience in 15 years is that there's a lack of interest. It seems that, if there's a renewed interest and people serve, then, but you're gonna find that out. Traffic safety, you know, when there's issues, they complain about, it's really about traffic. They're not complaining about being on the board, they just want to slow people down, and we all do, but that's a tough job. I give the police chief orders pretty regularly about enforcement. And of course, we have to be nice to our citizens, but everybody speeding is a citizen. a
Well, that's
voter.
kind of, that was one of
The
the
catch
biggest issues
22.
out there in the community when I was talking. That came up almost, number one, almost exclusively. It was the amount of traffic and the speeding.
Leon Drive is one of them. Since I've been here, it turned into a thoroughfare and will continue to be a thoroughfare for a long time. Those of you who live on Leon, you've seen it. And a lot of those people are from other places, but a lot of them speeding are residents. The residents, you know, we all have a tendency to.
Sometimes council members.
I can tell you right now, my police chief was doing traffic control and actually stopped a council member who apologized extensively. But the wise police chief did not issue a citation. You know, that was wise of him, you know.
I mean, you're right, Dennis, because we experienced that together with people. And, you know, none of you guys have the time to go sit with the Walled Lake Central School District and say, we don't like this bus stop. But there was a number of those where they're like, our bus stop sucks.
Yeah.
It's like in a bad area, it's not the right place. And that's kind of one of the things they could go, at least communicate, right? Hey, we get some citizens that don't like where our bus is stopping. I mean, I still can't believe we stop a bus on Pontiac Trail for kids to get on it right by that trail crossing.
It's a new day. I think you
Yeah.
got to try it again. I mean,
Okay.
it's a good idea. And then you guys all get, and ladies, excuse me, get to see what the renewed interest is in volunteering. And because it's work, you know, they work.
And then
It's
could we-
voluntold, actually. It's not volunteer. Sometimes you get voluntold.
And would it be appropriate then, could we have a sitting member of that traffic safety board be on the DDA? Because those two tend to go hand in hand, right? I mean, as you look at
Well,
downtown.
our member on the DDA is the mayor. So the mayor is by virtue of being the mayor, is going to be on the DDA.
At least get the
I
communication.
guess maybe you could have two. I think we did have two. As an experience, we had two members of council,
I
mayor.
was thinking more of a commission, somebody who's, let's say we have a chairperson for the traffic safety board, which we will. Could that person sit on the DDA?
Sure. I don't see, I mean, a lawyer might look it up and find it different. I don't think so. I think it can.
Problem.
Okay.
I don't see any issue with that. If
Okay.
it was- You're just talking about just a general, any member, not
Correct.
necessarily an elected
Right.
official. but-
Correct. To be any member that's on the traffic safety board that goes through the interview process and is then nominated and added to the traffic safety board, they'd represent the traffic safety board during the Downtown Development Authority meetings. And that way, as infrastructure continues to build and new companies come in and we look at how the roads are being developed, they'd have a say because they're representing their communities, basically.
Right. Yeah, no, I see no issue with that.
Okay, thanks. We'll expand that conversation as time goes on.
Yeah. There's another thing I wanted to, at our last meeting, that when we all got inaugurated, there was some heated conversation by some people in the audience. And I actually did get to meet Dennis's friend, Ms.
Millman.
Millman.
Tracy Millman.
Tracy. You know, and I think I said it to a few of you, but in certain people's minds, they actually have genuine concerns about stuff. And sometimes when we kind of laugh or we cut them off after their 2 minutes, they get double conspiracy theory, right? Because it feels like there must be something there because you cut me off, or there must be something there because you laughed at me, or you threw me out. So a little discussion with her, right? She's got these, in her mind, she's got very legitimate concerns. We just need to make sure she feels better about it, right? And I think some of it is I think, Dennis, you pointed it out, that she doesn't know how to read either the budget or the finances, right? There's some intra-department.
They got me in trouble the last time. You're going to do it again, Mayor.
Yeah.
If she knows how to read everything.
I want to read some Facebook comments I got on my business from her.
So
I'm a little sensitive too, you know? I
Hold on,
mean,
give me a second.
So I think we need.
she's rough
That's
on
all right.
me. You
We
know?
don't need
No,
to
I
go
think
there.
I'm going to do it.
No, you don't need to go there. So I think this is important because a lot of what we heard about was transparency on the walks around the city. And I think I'm wholeheartedly in agreement. If you don't, you stop all that stuff if you just get extremely transparent, right? There's some stuff, there's no reason for somebody to have to file a FOIA with Jennifer and say, give me what we're supposed to be able to see anyway, right? So we really need to take a look at, and I said, look, the council will look at it, right? We'll alleviate your fears. If we've got to get the auditor, like I said, if we got to get the auditor, we'll pay him to spend a little bit of time with her or them, and say, well, what are your numbers, concerns? Because I did the audit and everything's fine, right? But we just need to eliminate their concerns. I mean, she made statements about credit cards. So let's say, how many of those cards are out there? I don't know, we got a WEX card, we got the Walled Lake Central School District Federal Credit Union, there's a card on there. I don't know what other ones are there, but she mentioned contracts, she mentioned, so I think we need to do that, take a look at it. Let's get a copy of everything for the council. We'll all go through it and we'll explain the transparency's there. We see nothing wrong, or maybe we find something silly. Paul, you're not going to any different clubs, are you? Because that was a problem at one point, right? So I just think you take these people and you harness their energy and put it at something that's constructive, right? Because you look at it at every one of these meetings online, people are doing the cut them off after 2 minutes, throw them out. What was the one mayor said? I'm going to have a parade when you leave my city, when you move out, right? That doesn't do anything for these people. And you got to really harness that energy and point in the right direction. I've done this for a number of years in the auto industry with irrational or emotionally concerned people. You know, in their mind, it's real, right? So we just need to fix that. So I think, Dennis, we're going to take a look at this. I'll have a little discussion. We got to go through each one of her items, right? And I just spent a little bit of time. I still want to go spend some more time. Van, I think you're going to go with me, right? We're going to go spend some time with her. Yes. But I think it's really important we do that, guys. And it's, to me, let's just, like I said, let's harness her energy, put her on something she can help, right?
I'm with you.
So I'll send something out. We'll see what we want to provide everybody, and we'll say, see, we've looked at it, and this is what we think. And I know, Paul, you think you tried to meet with her, right? So we'll fix that. But even if we got to chase her down, we'll chase her down and have a discussion, because again, I think it's important, spend a little bit of time with that, and you stop a lot of silliness, right? Wild accusations. So we just need to clarify it, educate her a little bit, and then harness her, right? Dan, you need help doing sidewalks, right? So she can count cracks, right? But we could definitely do something with that energy. Right now it's pointed
I just have a question, and
weird.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
Sure.
This is one citizen. Do you plan on spending all of this time and all of this money for every single citizen's questions and concerns?
No, but
because this is going to
Tamara,
snowball.
I hear you, but if it's about a transparency problem, you just throw the stuff out that they want to see, and then you don't have the problem anymore.
Okay.
Right? The more transparent you are, the less Three-Eye Atlas goes on. You know what I mean?
Transparent about how much this
Will cost
extra
us.
is costing.
I get it.
No, you don't.
Really?
It's going to cost us a lot
A lot.
to sit down with every resident that disagrees with you.
You're not sitting down with every resident. There's a bunch of concerns about transparency. We're going to address it.
This is the same lady that
But
has a
please don't
Facebook-
tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
This is the same lady that has a Facebook page called Walled Lake Corruption, guys.
Yeah, because we laughed at her.
This was before we laughed, and I didn't laugh.
Okay, I wasn't there for them, Tamara. I wasn't there for it.
No, but
I understand. No, you're not going to address every single person this way. But I'm telling you,
Well,
the
so how do you
transparency's
pick?
there.
How do you pick? If you're not going to address everyone the
stop it.
same way,
If you
there's no
become
guarantee.
transparent on the issues that people have, that they have a legitimate reason to be able to see, right? They could file a FOIA request. We could file a FOIA request and have Jennifer give them everything in the world. We're going to do it because that's what you're supposed to do. And it will stop the conspiracy theories. Trust me, I've done this before, Tamara.
I'm going to partner with you, Mayor. I think that we do it one time at least, and if I'm missing my guess, I'll admit it, but I think she's going to bring up everything that needs to be talked about. She won't miss anything, and you're going to find that we got a clean slate. I have the most honest crew over there.
I have no doubt.
And
just
we
gonna
won't
show 'em.
have to do it more than once, maybe twice.
Maybe.
But if that works, I'll follow you on that. I have no objection. We don't use credit cards except for city business. I
Right.
don't have a credit card.
Right.
But the credit cards are here, so they look at that and they want to turn that into something. I can see how, if you think like that it's going to, but that's not what happens.
Right.
So you can look at every book we got.
Right.
And I mean, the FOIA is one option, but in my world, from all the way back, transparency was you get to go to City Hall and sit down and look at everything. We do it from time to time.
Right.
We let people come in and do all of that. Now FOIA is an evil thing. You have to FOIA, but that's why it exists.
Right.
So now we're going to put it up, but then they turn it around and say this means something different than it means.
Right.
So you're going to fight that battle. But I'm going to follow you on this one and not push back. We got nothing to hide. My team is really honest and they really work hard. And you've already seen that in your couple of weeks you've been in. You've seen it. We have nothing to worry about. The auditor's independent. He works for you, not me. And he told you at that last meeting that we better than we have been in the last 15 years. Little by little, we're fixing.
I agree.
And what we're doing. And we're saving more money than people would imagine. I think it's more about they're just angry about other things, but let's do that. I'm going to follow you on that. I'm going to take your advice and support you on that. There's no reason to push back.
Yeah.
But we can't do
No.
we can't do it with
No,
everybody.
No, I know. I understand.
That's my only argument is like, where do we stop?
I understand.
It's
Her,
going
her
to-
issues are so broad, I think if we show good faith that we've resolved, or at least attempted to resolve all of her broad issues, there's not a whole lot of issues outside of what she's bringing up.
Right.
Right? I think it's an attempt to try in
It's
good
a good
faith
idea.
to answer.
I'm all in. I just,
resolve those
it's again, that's not how she came at me.
Right.
That's not, nobody came at me.
For sure.
They came at me that we're all crooked because whatever. I get enemies here because somebody sent an email and I didn't get it, and so I didn't return an email, and then there were lifelong enemies. I don't even know these people.
Yeah.
I really don't.
But we still work for them. So I think
Yeah.
we still work for them.
We
I
have to.
think in good
We have
faith.
to. So, and I'm not a big
And I'm
believer.
with you. We can't do it with everybody. But let's try with her. She seems to have the most issues, the biggest issues, and
She's the model. If you can satisfy her, you've got to satisfy.
Yeah, I'm not
everybody.
saying that, but we definitely can alleviate some
Mayor,
concerns.
you get no
point her-
pushback from
point
me.
people in
They
the right
will have-
direction.
They will have instructions to help any councilman that's got an issue, and the mayor, and they have instruction. This is unusual because we haven't done it in 15 years, but whatever you got, you come and we'll help you solve that problem.
Right.
At some point, then you're going to have to decide if it's worthy of your effort as a
Right.
council member.
Right.
If it's just about being angry, whatever, but I'm with you on that. I am, because I want it to stop.
Well, unfortunately, I missed some of the dialogue from that last meeting. So I mean, is there a systemic way that we can support the transparency notion without having to bend to every person, right? So if we can make an iterative step forward, and I don't know what that is yet because I haven't had a chance to really understand what her key issues are, but I think that similar to the Traffic Commission, I mean, transparency came up, whether it's an illusion or not, whether it's real or not, if we just come to the table with more information, then it doesn't hurt and we can be shown.
Right. And if it's an automated process where it's just there, and then no one has to do anything special. I mean, one of the things when you look at our warrant report, right, our expenditures, I'm used to having that cut 37 different ways with automation in Excel, right? And instead of just a bunch of expenses on a piece of paper, it would lay out, here's the supplier, here's the vendor, here's other vendors that do the same thing that we also pay, here's what we've got. And I can do all that automation like that. It's really easy stuff. I've done it for 33 years. But if we got an electronic file of a year's worth of expenses, it's nothing to let it run through. Every time you print out a warrant report, you hit the button, or we'd set it up with an AI agent to do it all for you already. But we set that up, we print it out, and then the deck is really easy to take a look at it. And she doesn't have to go running around looking at numbers because you got all that analysis done for you. then it stops a lot of craziness, right? You know, you gotta have a little more than just a bunch of warrant expense checks on a piece of paper. Like Mary and the budget for, everything's in 000.000, so you know it's not an estimate, right? There's 6 line items, they're all even numbers, 000.00. You know they're not really an estimate, they plucked it from air. And I guarantee they have more detail in their home monthly budget for entertainment than they have in that deck. So that's why I want to see it all, right? I don't know if you've been through the detail engineering analysis that they did for the refurbishment, but it's just another one where it's like it's easy to do and automate, spit it out in some Excel files. I mean, I think Jamie, you did this for work and actually sold the rights to it, right? So there's some really easy stuff. I don't want to make everything burdensome on everybody, but you know, if we could throw some scripts out on an Excel chart that makes a quick PowerPoint for you, really cool and very easy to do. It's technology today. In fact, it's actually, you don't want to use the AI agents because they lie to you, right? Where did you get that data? I'm sorry, Mr. Gunther, I lied to you. It was what Gemini did to me the other day. So I think that's a really good thing. I hear you guys. I hear you, Casey. I hear you, Tamara. I've seen this before with people that they emotionally are tied to something that's wrong. I mean, you don't have every other person in the city in here doing that, right? Just harness it. We'll put her in the right direction. Counting cracks in the sidewalk, something, right? Cool. That's really all I got. And we've got another topic later. So on to, who was next? You? Consent,
City manager's report.
status reports?
City manager's report? Yeah, historically, what we've done is we put together a package of reports in their own, the way they package them, and we converted to what we call a consent agenda, meaning you just move to receive and file it so that the record shows you got it. Then you, later on, if you've thumbed through it and you've got some questions on it, you come to me or you go to the department head that drafted it and you get the questions answered. And that's how we do this. But the idea there is to so that, you know, it's a kind of a early form of transparency. It was filed, and there is a report, and some of it's very useful. If you get it in a packet, you can, you know, we try not to embarrass staff and ask them a question that they wouldn't have an answer to right then. And because some of us, it's tough, you know, we got to go through a lot every day. So you get that and you ask the question. If you want to talk about it at the meeting, then you give us a call and let us know that you're going to ask that question. But the reason we do that is so you get it filed and the record's there and you can go through it. Some of it's valuable to some people, some other councilmen, they don't really care about all of the details. Different council members and mayors have different ideas of what's important on a particular meeting. So that's all that is. So what I need you to do now is move to receive and file the consent agenda consisting of written departmental and divisional statistical reports.
Woods will make the motion to accept the
Can I ask a
consent
question?
agenda.
I'm sorry?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Because this is all new to me, so, and I know I'm meeting on Thursday, I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
we're
some
gonna have a good
questions,
meeting
yeah.
Thursday, too.
The warrant report, what's the period? I see like November 18th on here, October, what's?
Well, I don't think you received the warrant from last meeting. Does that, Jen?
This is from the November 18th meeting.
So what we did is we
was
just
in the
carried it
packet
over.
from
He
November
closed that early, so we just carried it over.
What's the period? Is this just October?
Yeah, that's all that's on there. So, and this is December, so we haven't had a chance to finish up, you know, this is 2 days in. We don't usually do that.
No, I understand that.
and they adjusted,
So
so-
for the November 18th meeting, this was the October
Yeah,
period?
that would have been, yeah.
That's what I need, okay, thank you.
You're the second person to ask me that question, so it was a holdover from the last meeting, and then we haven't had a
I was
chance.
waiting
to
for
get
you to
no-
ask that question.
No idea.
Oh, no, you were not wrong. You weren't wrong.
But
Before I save it as a PDF.
we adjusted last year, whenever it was, to have the December meeting, or we put that on there in case we're gonna have it. It didn't get canceled. Typically they did, but it's too early to knock out the November stuff.
So the next meeting, though, will have
Yeah, we'll
November,
be up to
December?
date. We'll be caught up. Whatever we're going to do, we'll be caught up on that. But Did we do a motion there and get it done?
Yeah, we did. We got one motion, we didn't have a second. Ambrose was second.
Thank you. All in favor? Do you want a roll call, Mr. Mayor?
It's fine.
Arnold?
Yeah.
Locke?
Yes.
O'Rourke?
Yes.
Shinzing?
Yes.
Woods?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, I have an additional item. I put it on here to talk about the downtown development. The reason I did that is because we have a new group. A couple things have happened that make it a little different downtown than we talked about for a year. The DDA now is the proud owner of the property across from the beach. DDA is the ownership. They control it. They own it. You know, again, they're a component unit, but they control it. Whatever they do, you know, they'll ultimately have to come to council to talk about it, but the DDA does that. You're a member. We have a vacancy, as you know. So that will factor into what we do downtown. Before we're talking about, are we going to develop it all and improve it? But what we did is we graduated to a first phase process, which was over there. But we have a new majority, and you folks may want to see that starting all over again. And I'm more than willing to get the engineers to come back in. And I don't want people voting on something that they didn't have a say in. So I think we start all over. They won't start over the engineering, but they'll come back and do their report, and then you can fashion your answers and your view of it. And so at the next meeting, I guess in January, whenever we have another meeting, we'll have him back in as soon as he comes and say what they got, if you're inclined to do that.
You know, we probably ought to look at what he did as a report. Let's take a look at what he did as a report. We'll do some pre-work, and then we can take a look at each.
We should
each
be
of
able to
that.
package something to get it to you.
Yeah, and then they've got it.
They got, there's, planners have different ideas than engineers. I don't know if y'all know that or not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like finance guys and accountants. They're not always the same. So he may not, the planner guy is a really good guy, but I can tell you right now, there's people sitting on this council that don't like the planner's idea because he wants it to be pretty, and some engineers want it to be useful, you know?
If it was easy, they'd have kids doing it, right?
We'll bring him back, but I'll
Yeah.
get you the, whatever
Yeah,
package.
let's take a look at
we-
it first, and then we'll have them come
We'll
back.
send it to all the council member, but I want you to start from scratch. I don't want to try to get people voting on a plan. I think you guys, each one of you should look at this from the beginning, like if you're starting all over, because you're the ones that's going to vote on spending the money and how we finance it if we continue on. So that'll be at the next meeting, whenever you decide to schedule that. One more item. Yeah.
Councilperson, did you have a comment or question? No. I'm sorry, I thought I heard you step in for a sec. Okay, sorry.
One more item, with the wastewater treatment, I've been dealing with them for several years. Since in here, we have to fund that. And so what they're doing is, you know, they want to move, and it may not be the bad idea, but I want to make clear that while they said that, you know, there's more transparency because you have elected officials, they're not you. They're two county people and the other Nash guy, you know, so you got three people who may or may not listen to you. Right now, or what we've done up to now is whenever there was an adjustment, we participated in that in terms of smoothing out the costs. You know, you don't raise the rates on everybody all the time. So they do want to change that because they want to do things differently. What they would do differently under the Drain Act is they won't have to do the bidding and stuff requirement. The old act that they're traveling on, which was 1939, they required all kinds of bidding and multiple bidding and all this kind of stuff, which probably slows it down. And frankly, in my opinion, it runs the price up because everybody knows, and they, you know, like when you have to compare. They want to cut through all of that, and then they want the county to run it. Okay, you may not have a choice. What our choice is, and I think the mayor has, his term is the same as mine. He says, the mayor said to me, we don't want to give up our veto power. And my terminology is we don't want to give up leverage. Same thing. So whatever leverage we can get, if you make the transition, we need to maintain. She seemed to say it tonight, Mayor. She said, she told us that. We've got to make sure the lawyer believes her. You can stop it by petition. If they're going to try to do something you don't want, you can stop it. I think she said that. But,
Exactly what I read.
Huh?
So Van, we needed to take a look at that because it's not what I read. It kind of said,
language, and it is, as broad as the sea and as tall as the sky.
Yep.
Basically gives them free rein to pretty much do anything and everything that they want to do, maybe with the exception of some, I don't know, he mentioned some, I don't know, Class A capital, something where you're putting on that is entirely new that the plant currently doesn't do. Maybe something like that, that would exceed the scope of the drain authority, but they've set it up so that it's very, very broad. It's not something that is going to be simply limited to this project.
Right.
And once that drain authority or that Chapter 20 Drain Commission is established, they have the final, they decide if and when projects are going to be done, how much they're going to spend, and then you're just stuck paying for it. You really, they
Right.
say, well, you can show up at their meetings and say, wait a minute, we don't like it, and maybe they'll listen to you. Probably they won't. But it is a whole new level of government. So, and I'm not saying everything is bad and evil about a Chapter 20 drainage district. I mean, there are some good things. There are some positive things about it. And it's just a matter of weighing and balancing the pluses and minuses to figure out what's best for the city of Walled Lake. And what may be best for the city of Novi may not necessarily be best for the city of Walled Lake. The city of Novi, it's a very big community. It's a very, even though it's well built out, they still have a lot of
Growth.
build out potential in that community compared to Walled Lake, which has very little. So they're all about. They've always been very supportive and highly, advocating, spending, putting a lot of money into the plant because it's going to serve the expansion of their community, which they have a lot of potential for, a lot more potential for than the city of Walled Lake. So yeah, of course they're all about, let's do something that spends more money on the plant because that's what they want to see. So
I think the $20 million brand new safety facility that they approved is like 0.7 mils, right? If we did that, it would be like 6 mils on everybody in the city, right? It's because they've got a huge, huge tax base. Right. In fact, Paul, we should go over there and see what we could take when they're throwing all the shit away. Because I'm not afraid to steal from people when they're throwing it away.
There you go. That's right. Well, and I thought it was interesting that they couldn't tell us what the territory boundaries were for Novi and what that influence looked like that was serving that particular.
I think that was kind of on that map.
We have that.
Was it on there?
We have that
Yeah.
information at different places. We didn't bring it in tonight, but
Okay.
we can get all of that. I remember this, she mentioned it, but I'm not sure she has the whole history. This law that they're traveling under, 342, goes way back to 1939, and the state it was a state law, so they created districts like that all over the state. And so, she should have been able, in my opinion, to answer your question. I don't think she was ready for that question. So the point is, we can get the boundaries. Novi's in it. Novi approved this, by the way, in August. Their petition, they're ready to answer the question. Novi's, they're probably waiting. They want to improve the facility. They don't want anything to go down. And one of the downside of not doing anything is if there is a damage, a break, we can get popped by the feds. We got to think of all of those things. And but that second level of government, right now, we have had a say in terms of how we allocate the cost. I mean, I've been there more than once and take the team down. It may or may not be a good idea, but you got to know what you're voting for as a council member and mayor. So that's what we're headed for.
Totally understand. I just, if it was, well, the fact that they haven't looked at or had DTE come in and do the assessment, because they will give you a 50% cost rebate on your electrical charges. And so if you update all the VFD drives everywhere, right? If you replace those blowers, and they'll do the engineering for you. So the fact that they haven't done it, and I got to tell you, $620,000 for a man lift. I built elevators for 120 grand. They went up and down 60 times an hour every day, 3 shifts, all day long. They pick up bodies and cars and move them up and down and back and forth. And it's a man lift that goes up and down once in a blue moon, right?
Yeah, they have 8 employees.
Yeah. And actually, that's an interesting thing, because I think it looks like you're supposed to have more than that to run a similar sized facility. But I'd love to understand why we're the last one left, and is anybody still upset? That might be an interesting,
Well, we're the
set of
last
phone
is
calls.
they get the big guys to do it, and then the big guys have a tendency to leverage you, us. We get that because we're Wall Lake and we're smaller. There was one time when Wall Lake was the community.
Yeah.
The city of Wall Lake, or the community of Wall Lake, gave birth to the surrounding communities. It was farming land, and it grew. And back when it started, that it wasn't the same. That's what happened. That was your question. How did it get? Well, it grew, and then they make adjustments, along the way. So we are probably being leveraged by them in some way. If we didn't do anything, you can expect that there'll be some mess goes on down there, and oh my God, it's an emergency, and we're gonna.
It's our fault.
Yeah, they'll bring in Eagle, or they'll bring in Myosha or something, and so we don't want to sit on this too long. We got to decide one way or the other to make sure we're.
I have one question. Part of her presentation, she did talk about the lining through the Walled Lake Arm.
I'm sorry?
She talked about the lining of the Walled Lake Arm. So in prior years, we did try to go after the Eagle program, right? It was a low-interest loan with some principal forgiveness that we got
We got
denied
SAW
for.
grants, we got
Yeah.
different things through the years. I think that's probably what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as part of the discussion, right, when we go further. That type of grant and how it matches up to what they're asking. If it's something that crosses, if there's leverage there to be had for certain directions, that's important to me.
We'll try to bring some of that back to the table. If you do put together workshop meetings like the mayor wants, then if we can just bring stuff to the table and so you get everybody up to speed. It's time to do that. This is gonna be expensive, but if they said we're 1/3, do we take their word for it? That kind of a thing,
That's why I asked, hey, if you look at that usage per capita of people versus, businesses, is our number right? I'm not sure. I'm
Well,
not sure.
again.
If we've got a bunch of breaks in the sewer system and we're flooding the whole lake and all the water in the area into it, that could make sense. And maybe that's our real priority. We reduce our usage, right?
We're
We'll
gonna
do that
try.
first. I'd love to take a little run at this, just because it's, again,
We'll start
sorry guys,
preparing.
it's fun to me, and it's my wheelhouse, and I've done it for 30 years.
It's our job.
Yeah.
We'll do it too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the fact that they haven't looked at that DTE thing, and then have they given $5,000 to U of M? Because there's a guy at U of M he's civil engineering guru, does it all the time. He wrote all the books on refurbishing wastewater treatment facilities, right? So I always like giving money to the kids, college kids, give them a real world problem. They do a capstone project and come out and look at it, and they give you a report. Even if nothing comes out of it, you did get some college kids to get some real good real world experience that'll help them in the future. So those are always like, you give $10,000 to a U of M or to a Lawrence Tech, and they come up with stuff. I've been really surprised sometimes at what they've come up with. But that's another way. I mean, you got to do that first before you just kick off $6 million worth of taxpayer money, right? Just don't get it. So we'll see where we're at. Love it. Thank you, Dennis. Anything else?
No, I'm good now, so.
You're not good.
You're not gonna give me a break, are you?
No.
You're just not.
Okay. Correspondence.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have the resignation letter that we received from DDA Board Member Millen.
Okay.
If you would like to have a motion made to receive and file that.
Sure. Anyone?
I'll move.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Do we don't need a roll call?
Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Schenzing,
Yes.
Woods,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Attorney's report?
Okay, I've provided you with a written overview of the Open Meetings Act. It's something that I typically do when we have new council members come on board. I'd suggest that this is something that you should probably hang on to, because a lot of those questions do come up from time to time, and it's a good thing to have on hand for reference purposes. Just to kind of hit a few highlights. You know, a lot of questions come up about, you know, the audience participation section of the meetings, obviously. You do have to have audience participation. You do have to allow people to speak and to address public bodies. But you do have some fairly broad rulemaking authority over audience participation in terms of how long people are allowed to speak, you know, identifying themselves, you know, stating their name and address and so forth, and the amount of time that people are allowed to speak for. I mean, ultimately, it falls on the mayors, the chairman of the meeting, to decide when it's time to tell somebody that, you know, that they need to sit down and give somebody else a chance. But currently, under the current city council rules, and you have the ability to change these or amend them in any way you want, members of the audience are allowed 3 minutes for audience participation. They are required to identify themselves, state their name and their address. People can't be required to identify themselves to attend a meeting. Any member of the public can walk through the door, have a seat, observe and listen to what's going on. And most people know that, but they don't. They tend to confuse that with coming up to the podium and making a public comment. You know, they think that because they can attend the meeting without identifying themselves, that means that they can, you know, take the podium and make a public comment without identifying themselves. But the council rules can require them to do that.
Too much TikTok watching is what it is, right?
You
That's
know,
why I won't show my driver's license to
that's
Paul
where
either.
that, you know, and some people get a little hot about that from time to time. So anyway, that's kind of the overview of the public comment there. You know, the Open Meetings Act, you know, it basically comes down to quorum. That's really when it kicks in. When you have a quorum of the public body, you know, this is a 7-member council. So whenever you have 4 people present in the same room, four elected officials, then it's something that you need to be thinking about. You know, are we in compliance with the Open Meetings Act? If 2 or 3 of you get together for lunch or coffee or whatever, you start talking shop. As a general rule, no issues, no concerns. The Open Meetings Act typically would not apply in that situation. But once you hit a quorum, then that's when that's usually when you have to be more mindful of Open Meeting Act's requirements. There are a number of exceptions to the Open Meetings Act. That's when the council goes into a closed session, and if one of those exceptions applies and council decides to go into a closed session, which requires a 2/3 roll call vote, then you can have discussions and deliberations in your closed session, but ultimately all decisions have to be made in the open meeting. So typically what happens is we go into closed session, have discussions and deliberations, and then if it's decided to take some action as a result of those discussions and deliberations, then you come back into open session, and people are allowed to be here when that happens, and then, you know, entertain whatever motion that you want to make to take whatever action you want to make. So, so that's pretty much it. You know, certainly individualized cases do come up, and obviously, you know, when that happens, you know, we'll take a closer look at them, and I can give you opinions on a case-by-case basis whenever that's needed.
Can I ask a question? So how many closed sessions have there been in the last several years?
Oh, geez, want to know that? I couldn't begin to tell you.
Can we get access to the minutes of those? I'm trying to come up to speed with everything. We have no access to the minutes of the closed sessions? in the past?
They're required to be kept for, I think, what is it, 1 year?
1 year.
1 year and
Well,
1 day, I think.
It say may be destroyed, so have they been destroyed?
I don't know. I don't know.
So then within the last year and 1 day, there should be minutes to closed sessions, correct?
There should be.
That'd be interesting, right, just to know what we talked about.
Yeah. It's typically on the agenda when there's a closed session or going to be a request for a closed session. So, you know, if you can the agendas from past years are online.
Yeah, I've been
Those are
going through, I
available.
mean, I've been going through minutes.
And you can, most of those closed sessions, I think that the council's had in years past would probably show up on those agendas.
And so can we get access to those minutes?
I believe, yes, if you wanted them, that they could be made available to council.
Okay. Be helpful for me, again, to kind of come up to speed with some of the things that have been discussed in the
I
past.
think the most of the closed sessions have been evaluations of staff or me or the lawyer, actually. Couple of lawsuits when, whenever we have labor negotiations, which I have done for the last 15 years, and then run it by the lawyer, we might go into those in the past to tell the council this is what we're doing, where we are, because ultimately you have to vote on the final approval. We bring it back to you. So I can't think of anything other than that we've been in closed session on, nothing tricky. It's, we have a right to have a discussion about evaluations in private. And we've done that. The last one we had, with all due respect, was the city attorney's evaluation. And the council, the outgoing council did that a few weeks back. That's all that was. It took 5 minutes. They told him he's doing a good job. Did I disclose what was saying? They said that in public session too, so.
But that's a good point, though.
Yeah,
It isn't a bad idea.
Another point I should raise is that what's discussed in closed session stays in closed session.
Right.
It's not like you can come out and just start talking about it or
Right.
post it online. Yeah, hey, this is all the stuff we said or was talked about during closed session. It's something you need to keep private.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So that was done. Van, you got anything other than that?
No, that concludes my report.
Okay. Unfinished business? No? New business? Let's try and get out of here sometime tonight. The proposed resolution 2025-26, I'm sorry, 36, my eyes are bad. Schedule of regular meetings for 2026. I asked Jennifer to put the two sheets together, right? Because one of the things I've looked at, if you look at all the communities around here, there's only a few that run council once a month. And I know we did it back, I think it was COVID started it right in the middle of the calendar year. We went to one meeting a month. And I understand there's money there.
No.
It wasn't that year?
No.
No, it was long before.
We've been doing one meeting a very long time.
2015.
Yeah, because we were having meetings that lasted 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because, it's like there's not a lot that goes on the agenda, and what typically they would do, is my recollection, is if you had something special, you call a special meeting. The mayor can call a special
Right.
meeting, city manager can call a special meeting to deal with that. But there just really wasn't the kind of thing, well, it wasn't COVID, but when we got here that many years ago, there was not a lot of money to spend,
Right.
So it wasn't like a lot of big stuff's getting done. We were just doing routine stuff, and the meetings were really, really short. We had meetings that were 15 minutes, and people were going like, why did we meet? Because you're required to meet once a month.
Right.
And you got to earn your $50 and the $35, But you guys can call, you can set the schedule. They did have, when I got here, they had more than meetings. When I got here, we had a mayor who scheduled 3 meetings in one night. He called them 3 different meetings. So he got $50 for a meeting, a special meeting. He got 50 more bucks for that night for a public hearing, and then he got $50, and they paid him. So the first thing I did, he was the mayor, but I said, no, we can combine all that in one meeting. So he got 50. He didn't like me anymore, but he would do that just to get the extra $50 or sometimes $100. That's a fact. That's No, we don't do that. We try to save money every way we would, and that's really what it got cut back. I think if you go to 2, you're going to find out you don't need 2, and everybody's schedule is going to be different. But we're going to be here if you say 2.
Well, I think we're going to put it up to the vote of council, right? But in my opinion, we would have we'd have the once-a-month meeting, and the people that have emotional scars over what happens here in the city, they looked at it and they said, you must be doing stuff outside the Open Meetings Act because you just have one meeting, it lasts 45 minutes, everybody rah, 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 it was a great time at the party, and thanks for being dressed up like Santa, and yes, 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 and they approve it and they're done. So that in their minds, there's something missing, right? And I know I've sat on a board with several of these gentlemen, we dialogue, right? We don't agree with everything, but it just seems like we come into the council meeting and there's no dialogue and the proposal's up for something. Everybody votes yes, and there's really not a lot of dialogue. And I think that's why you could get to a 15-minute meeting and walk out. But in some people's minds, there's no dialogue there. And I certainly don't need it for the $1,200 W-2 at the end of the year. But even if we cancel them because we got nothing to talk about, that's great. But if we have no quorum and a couple people still want to come, we don't have a quorum, we can't vote on anything, but we certainly can have some dialogue, right? And I just think, and to me, that's the way I look. Some of you might not want to be here twice a month.
There's two reasons that a meeting goes the way you described. First of all, the mayor is good, and if he's a smart mayor, he gets all the votes he needs to do what he wants to do before the meeting. He talks individually, and he knows where it's going to go. A city manager doesn't take anything to the board that's going to turn into a battle and embarrass the opposition. You don't do that. That's how I learned. That's how I'm going to continue doing it. I'm not something that you guys are fighting about. I don't tell his story to you. Don't tell his story to you. But sometimes I get it from different ones and they don't all agree. And if it doesn't agree and they're going to fight, we let it work itself out. Yeah. But that's what that's about. It's about doing a good job as a manager and a good job as a chairman. If people want to see the fight, then it becomes performative, and that's what you got. You got, and especially now when we're on camera and all that, they're looking for you to have disagreement. The first thing they say is, well, everybody votes the same. Well, maybe it's a good idea. Yeah. Maybe it was a good idea, so which one of you are going to vote no against, so you got to work that out. Those are political decisions. They're not necessarily management decisions. They're political decisions. Should you have that fight just for performative measures? That's really what it's about. If I bring something to the council and not try to get your vote ahead of time, I'm not doing my job. You can vote against me. My council don't always vote. In the past 15 years, it's not perfect. Everybody wants to create that, but it's not so. I think Dennis and I serve on a board and we've voted different, right?
Absolutely.
But, but we don't arm wrestle later, or we don't fight or anything. So you do disagree, but most of the time we agree, don't we?
Yeah.
So
you have that dialogue. If people see it, if people see the dialogue, we don't fight. It's healthy tension, right? We always did it. Healthy tension. You have a conversation. I go, man, I didn't really think about it that way. Right. Ryan, that's a really good point. Or Dennis, that's a great idea. Good point. It's kind of nice for people to see that. Yeah.
So I think at least on the front end, right? So we all have a chance if two people want to make the motion, right? Or they want to get the city manager to have a special meeting, we're covered on the front end.
Yeah.
I think on the back end, you're covered if any one of us wants to make a motion to table something, we can do that to bring up more discussion for another meeting. Mm-hmm. So we have that opportunity. The one thing that I get concerned with is we're set with the budget is, right, through the end of the fiscal year. And then when we look at everybody that's working here, right, the police chief, he does do rounds on the street, right? Mm-hmm. Our fire chief does do rounds and fights fires, right? And we have an ISO score that's at 3, and that keeps insurance costs down for residents, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's important not to take away that. Dan, he plows snow. So if we're adding another meeting, now we're taking way more of the work of the people that are on the ground. And I know from walking around too, people have said, I want to see the police in the streets. That's an important thing. So I think we're covered in both ends. And maybe it's good to bring up probably in the budget meetings what we have, right, to see how this really truly affects it, having another meeting for that support. But I think we already have those options here today, right, if you want to further the discussion.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have everybody here, right? There's no reason. If he's not doing a report, then Paul doesn't have to be here. Right, so there are some things we look at. What is the actual cost? So you must know per meeting what the talent drain is on city for people's time, right? So let's just take a look at it. I actually think it could just be the second one a month, be a business meeting. Doesn't have to have everybody here. We're still gonna take minutes, but there's no reason to type a lot of people's times, but at least we can get some conversation.
Yeah, I was thinking for like even the workshopping of things too, because I'm nervous and I appreciate the report of making sure that we don't make decisions, but I think the natural friction needs to be some of the perspectives that we bring and have those discussions. As long as we all make an agreement that we're not going to be bombastic and show people behind this, but at the same time, it's like that natural discourse needs to happen. And I'd rather not have to worry about doing it because we have a small pocket of people.
Yeah,
I'd rather just
and doing it one-on-one, you don't get that additional people conversation, right? It's just, to me, I hear you. So we got a motion on the table to approve or either one or the other, or think about it yourself and table it till the next meeting? Or what do we got?
So I'll make a motion, proposed resolution 2536, schedule regular meetings for 2026. I'm going to ask to table that until the next meeting.
Okay. Any particular things we need to close in your perspective to vote on it? I'd like to see the dollar amount, right?
Yeah, and then
What do we
also
think it
just the
costs?
commitment, because I think everybody here has other jobs and things too, and we need
Right.
to make sure that we'd have the time to dedicate to 2 meetings.
and what the new attendance list would look like as well.
Yeah.
Because I agree. I mean, does everyone need to be here?
Right.
In respect to
Yeah.
the city support.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Van, from your perspective, who needs to actually be there? And if we don't propose a resolution or anything, or we don't vote on anything, is it technically not,
You know, if you have less than a quorum,
you can't do anything anyway?
yeah, you can't do any business. Can 3 people sit here at the council table and talk about things? Sure.
Right.
Yeah, you can do that. You know, and you can have that open to the public if members of the public want to sit in and watch. You can't, like I said, you know, you can't really vote on anything or take any action. But yeah, there's no reason why, you know, less than a quorum can sit here and just talk about things.
Right. I think when you looked at that,
Is that a quote unquote meeting?
just a business meeting, right?
It's a.
Yeah.
You're going to run into the same problem we're accused of. You have meetings without a quorum, and then we're sitting around talking, they're going to say that's a smoke-filled back room, you know? So,
Now,
I
if
mean,
it's
you guys weigh
published,
it out.
if
We're
it's
gonna-
published, it's not a smoke-filled back room, right?
I don't smoke, but some people might, but the deal is, whatever you decide, we're going to be here.
You would publish that you're having a meeting and then discover you don't have quorum when you're here. Anybody who was invited to the meeting would be here.
But that doesn't get that's not published to the rest of the
we
community. That's
published-
not at the meeting.
No, we published the scheduling of the event so they can come, and if 3 people are here to dialogue, they can sit and listen. So it's not a back-filled, smoke-filled room.
But nobody comes to our meetings now.
We have one
Right.
meeting a month and no one's here.
They
Yeah.
depend on the minutes and the
Correct.
video. And to do that, we need the full staff. So I'm sorry, I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
Okay, let's just take a look at it. Okay. So we're tabled. Do we have a vote?
I need a
We
second.
need a second, yeah.
I'll second it.
Can I make a motion to modify the motion? So it would be just to break apart, because we do need January 20th to be scheduled, right?
Yep.
So I would make a motion to modify, to approve the single meetings for the month, and then table the second. Yeah,
Okay.
to split that up, just so we're covered for
Sure,
January.
sure. Sure, I'm good with that.
Approve all the other committee meetings as well on that sheet?
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's approve everything else.
So I'll add that to my.
Thank you.
My modified modification.
We're all set for
Addendum.
January, we continue
Yeah.
the secondary discussion.
Sure. Okay, second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna do a roll call vote on the modification, okay? So bear with me. Okay, Shinzing,
Yes.
Woods,
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Arnold, Locke,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Gunther.
Yes.
And now you're gonna finish the vote on the main motion to table. Okay, are you ready? Woods,
So that would be to table it this is the second portion because it's modified.
Correct. But approving all the others, tabling city council.
Yep, and tabling this one.
Yes.
Woods, thank you. Okay. Ambrose?
Yes.
Arnold? Locke?
Yes.
O'Rourke?
Yes.
Shenzing? Gunther?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, you just made a serious adjustment on Robert's Rules of Order. It went great, you know, the modification.
Modification of the modification. I think it's in
We
there.
just usually shout it over and somebody withdraws their motion and they start all over. But you did it right. That's the way-
Okay.
That's good.
With that said, do we have a motion to adjourn, or we have something else on there? Mayor's comments, council's comments, anything? You guys tired of being here?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah,
everyone.
Yeah.
exactly.
So we won't see each other again until
Just thanks
January
to
20th?
everybody over here for all the hard work you did last night. There was a lot of stuff going on last night, but you did great as always. Dan, grounds looks just fantastic. So thanks for all the work
Yeah.
you did and your team, Tim, Nick,
Eric.
and
Chase.
Chase.
Good looking jackets. Good looking
High
jackets.
vis, I
those
loved
guys.
it.
yeah.
They were proud to wear them.
Anybody else? No? Russ, no? Ryan, no? Okay. I've already done my comments, so I'm good. Anybody for a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second? All say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Good.
Congratulations.
I'm gonna
on
get
your
a,
first
I'm gonna get a
meeting.
bigger gavel, because that thing's way too small. When I do a demo walk.